Indiana somehow was the biggest loser, getting blown out by Ohio State, but also the biggest winner because everyone else ended up losing, created a spot for them in the playoff. So here we go. Stanford Steve, welcome back. Let's start with the chaos in the SEC that has created a conference championship scenario in which we'll see Georgia face the winner of Texas A&M, where the Longhorns are currently laying 6 against the Aggies. Night game in College Station. Aggies off a loss. Do we like the dog here?
I'm leaning that way right now, Joe, for sure. When you look at Texas, Ewers looks iffy with that ankle. If he plays, he's not going to be 100%. But the matchup is all about Texas' offensive line, which hasn't been up to standard what I thought they would be this year. Against that defensive line at A&M, in that crowd environment, I can't wait to get to College Station because we have general hate in rivalry games. These two schools hate each other. There's nothing better than that. We got Hate Week coming up. I know we're going to be thankful for everything, but when the games come, there's a lot of hate, and I love it. And I think the underdog, to be able to ruin Texas' season with a chance to play in your first SEC title game, plenty at stake here. I lean towards the home dog with the Aggies.
First installment of this rivalry since 2011. I completely agree. I think we got a big gift with A&M losing at Auburn. It affects this line in a big way, and now we're going to get the big get-up spot with the crowd and everything else at night. I take the points as well. All right, rivalry week in college football, as you mentioned. It always starts and ends with Ohio State and Michigan. The Buckeyes were laying just south of about 10 points before the season started. Now they're laying 20. Does Ryan Day try to run it up here as revenge for what's happened the last few years? Or do you see a scenario where he could yank the starters late with the Oregon rematch on deck?
If he wants to run it up, he's got to get all his guys on the same page. Poor Travion Henderson lost a touchdown last week because he took a knee, and then Ohio State punches it in right after that. The initial look at this, knowing what this game has been, I think, wow, a lot of points. But then when I start breaking it down, you know, you look at Ohio State, they have the advantage on the defensive side. Will Johnson, the Michigan corner, he's their best NFL prospect. He's not going to play. I think Ohio State has a huge advantage in the throwing game. And then you look at what Ohio State, what it's been the last couple of years, and what the road is. This was their goal, first and foremost, coming into this season. Beat Michigan. Beat the heck out of them if we can. So I think it's a dangerous spot. I do want to see the health of Michigan's offense. They put up a 50-burger against Northwestern last week, but it looks like some guys got nicked up. So that would be a key for me. But all systems to go. I would argue Ohio State's the best team in the country right now. I just 21 in a rivalry game where Michigan's going to try and bleed the clock and keep Ohio State's offense. That seems dangerous. But I thought last week was too many points for the Buckeyes too. So it's a stay away right now for me.
See, the good news on that front is Michigan isn't really built to play from behind, which we've seen multiple times this year. If they fall from behind, running the ball, grinding the clock, that's not going to be conducive to making up a 2-score difference against a team like Ohio State. So if we can get up early, you can see them pulling away in this one. I just worry about what the fourth quarter looks like. All right, let's go to Alabama, now sitting on 3 losses after that shocker in Norman against Oklahoma. The Tide will turn their attention to the Iron Bowl, where they're laying 11 against an Auburn team that just shocked A&M. Do we consider backing Hugh Freeze here?
You know, this game is always a lot better for the underdog, and it's usually Auburn when it's in Jordan-Hare, and we saw what that place is good. But now it's in Tuscaloosa. I do think the injury to Deontay Lawson, for Alabama's best linebacker, is enormous. Because when you look at what Auburn did in running the football last week against A&M, whose defensive front is better than Alabama's, that's kind of scary. And you look at Jarquez Hunter, who's a guy, he's probably my favorite player in the SEC, just doesn't get talked about. Auburn's had a tough season, but that kid's as tough as it comes. I would expect him to get the ball 25-plus times, and it's just a matter of, you get touchdowns when you get in the red zone or field goals, because we know Alabama can score quickly with that offense. But right now, I would lean towards the dog. Auburn has shown, Thorne's been really good lately in not turning the ball over, and that's the number one thing you need. You saw what Jackson Arnold did for Oklahoma. He threw for, 60 yards, but he didn't give the other team the ball. And that's what's huge and what Auburn's been able to do the last couple of weeks. So I would side getting to double digits in a rivalry game.